YouTube, what is good? I've got a first transformation haircut tutorial to show you guys. My boy's been growing out his hair for about a year now. It's crazy on the sides, looks like Krusty the Clown. Got the nice braids on top. Yes, he was walking around downtown Sacramento like this before his haircut, looking like a damn fool. So I had to make sure I had to get him right for this one. First things first, I'm just gonna take down the sides of that bulk that's just sticking out from the sides of his head, making him look like a crazy ass motherfucker. I'm just gonna simply just take my shears and just take out any bulk hair, grab a section and just go ahead and take that off. I'm not really looking to even everything out or making sure it's all even. I'm just trying to take it as short as possible and make it a little easier for my clippers to work through. When I do go to my clippers, I am gonna go with a 3 guard on my Oster speed lines and just go with the grain. Now I do go with a 3 guard at first. I think I finish off with like a 1 guard towards the end of the video on the sides of the head, but because he's been growing out his hair for so long and his waves aren't like going in a certain direction, I do want to start off nice and longer, kind of throughout the haircut, always combing, training his hair to start laying down in a certain direction before I take it any shorter. If you just go in short first, you are going to have uneven balder spots because the hair is just not laying down the direction that it wants to go. And then I'm just going to simply bald him out. I do high tapers on him. I think it's like, what, the 3rd high taper in a row that I've done tutorial wise, but trust me, this one's different because it is a transformation on different textured hair, but pretty similar steps as to what we have been doing. Of course, bald them out. Afterwards, go with a 0 close, about 3/4 an inch up, and then we work our way up from fade masters, closed, halfway open, and then playing with the lever back and forth to make sure everything on that area is nice and smooth. Then I'm just going to go ahead with my Oster speed lines and open those things up, go about 1/2 inch and still work from open all the way down to close, still smoothing everything out and going over any work that needs to be evened out. Now I'm just gonna go with the 2 close, kind of take down more bulk, always just still combing and trying to train that hair to lay down a little bit better. And then I'm gonna go with the open 0 guard, flicking out, going up about 3/4 an inch, still keeping that little arch shape going upwards, not going straight up, but kind of working with the arch of that taper line that I first put in. And then I'm just gonna go closed, halfway open, and then work my way throughout with that. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and take down that bulk even more with a 1 guard open. And I work my way all the way down to closed on here too. And most of the video is gonna be with me working with the hair, trying to train it in a certain direction to get it to lay down because his hair has been growing out for so long. You know, just want to make sure that stuff lays down all nice and evenly. Then I'm gonna go ahead and take a 2 guard all the way open. Then I'm gonna close it up, and then after I'm gonna take my 1 guard open, working my way down from open halfway to close. Still combing out, trying to make sure, still trying to train the hair. A lot of this video is going to be with taking down that hair and training it. And there is a lot of cleanup process throughout this haircut just because of his hair has been so wild and so long, for so long. It's just a lot of cleanup process. When you're doing a transformation like this, especially on nappy hair, you want to take your time, make sure everything's all nice and laying down. The hair's not going to be trained in a certain way, so you got to train it along the way and kind of just take it, just be real patient with the hair. Work it in, work nice and patiently. Don't try to take it too low too quickly because you will make mistakes. Still just trying to blend out all that, any darker spots, any darker lines that I see throughout here. Gonna hit that bald line once more to make sure that thing really pops. Make sure that little bald guideline they create at first is nice and smoothed in, so I have a nice smooth transition all the way from the bottom. Then I'm gonna go ahead and start in the back. Go ahead and take all that bulk hair down again with a 2. Make sure that stuff's all nice and laying down. Then I'm gonna start my bald guideline, just working my way up. And for these tapers too, I did stretch them out just a little bit more than I usually would, only because, you know, he wanted to have a more of like a faded look on it, but because of his complexion, and I know my client, so his scalp isn't the healthiest because of how much hair growth has, because of how long his hair has been. So I didn't want to just give him that fresh ass fade and have his pale ass scalp out there with his darker red hair complexion. It would just kind of throw it off. But with the tapers, it makes it look nice and popping. Just starting again from closed, halfway open on the no guard and his fade masters, working my way down from open to closed. And when I'm fading, especially with shorter guards, I'm not like pressing in or holding the clipper on the head lightly. I am kind of giving him a firm little push on the head and kind of digging in with the clippers just to make sure and ensure that all that hair is getting cut down nice and short and evenly, and to really make sure I get all the hairs kind of feeding through the clippers. Sometimes if you're working with shorter guards and you don't push in or kind of give it that little pressure on the head, the hair just doesn't feed through the teeth of the clippers, the teeth of the clippers. So when you're working with stuff like this, you really want to make sure that shit pops. You really want to get all the hairs feeding through and make sure everything's all nice and even out. Give it a little pressure, flick out at the top, kind of finesse it a little bit at the top. You'll get that blend just even a little bit more tighter than you usually would. Again, just going ahead and taking down that hair, trying to train it to go all in one direction. Take it nice and slow too. I'm not trying to go too fast with it. I'm not trying to go speed racer on his head and try to get through this haircut real quickly. I'm just taking it nice and easily. And whenever I do haircuts like with textured hair, curly hair, nappy hair, once I get past the zero guard, I will just start working my way down, going with the grain all the way down to a closed zero, just because I don't want to start pushing up that hair higher and higher, trying to fade my way up. If I can just take all that hair down with a zero and keep it nice and dark, and then go over with an open 2, and that will kind of just barely nick those little hairs and work my way down. That'll keep all that darkness lower, and making sure that I don't push up that fade. Usually when you do like a one with the grain on nappier hair, that is kind of like I want to say it's more like a 3 guard open, or just like a 3. It'll feed into a 3 guard real well. Or even like a open 2 sometimes. When I work my way down all the way to a closed 0, it just, the transition going from open 2 all the way to a closed 1 just a lot smoother and a lot easier to do on my part, and I don't have to do as much work with it. Still just trying to train that hair to lay down, trying to get it as short as possible without taking off too much to make sure I don't give him that little lighter spots in his head. And any darker spots that I do see that are lower on the head, I will go against the grain with it to kind of pick that stuff out, to kind of give it that all even around look. Then to start the lineup on the left side around the ear, of course, pull that ear down so you can see what you're doing. Taking that corner of the clipper, kind of going around the ear, dragging it around. Then we're going to start on that last side of the taper, still just taking everything down, make sure everything's all evened out. Same steps that we've been doing. Just going to fly through this real quick too again. Alright, now starting on that lineup now. He did come in because he did get freshly braided. The lady that did braid him put some wax just to make sure his front hairline laid down a little bit better. So I just took a hot towel to it and kind of gave him like a nice little hot towel on the head, on the face, just to take off any of that wax. So when I feed it through the clippers, my clippers don't jam up. And then I'm just going to take an open 1 on that hairline, kind of going with the grain, kind of matching up with what I did on the sides of the head. Spritz them down a little bit, making sure the hair is nice and crisp for when I do line them up. And then I'm just going to start from the center of his head, working my way to the sides. It was funny, when I was doing this video, actually, I did catch him looking, because I just got a new ring light, so the camera sits in the middle of the ring light, and I seen him just staring right into the ring light. I'm like, dude, why are you staring in there? And then I realized he was looking at himself while I was lining him up. So it's pretty funny rewatching this video, just having him stare at himself getting lined up. I think he was feeling himself because he just never had braids before, and I was like, dude, just get braided up. Trust me, I'll make you look fresh. And then I do switch over to the Slimline Pros with this. Sometimes when I'm doing a hairline, certain clippers just feel better and cut the hair a little bit crispier than my retros do. And you know, that's just knowing your tools. If you know what tools will perform and how they will cut certain hair, you know, sometimes they're just special cleanup clippers that do the job that you need it to do. You know, by all means, there's nothing wrong with that at all. That doesn't mean your main clippers are not hitters. It just means that you know your clippers and what they need to be doing for you. And then I'm gonna go ahead and enhance him up. Now we don't offer, because he does have like little ginger reddish hair. We don't have any ginger reddish hair fibers, so I did just use dark brown, applying a nice light, super light layer on to make sure that you can't tell the color difference, but just still giving them that nice little enhanced look to make everything pop a little bit more, following that line that I just created. And then I go back over with my trimmers, make sure that thing is nice and extra crispy. Straight razor him up as well, pulling the skin in the opposite direction, kind of taking off any hair fibers that did leak up onto the forehead. Of course, you gotta use that backhand action as well. You know, I never used to do backhand on the front lineup. I always thought that looked really cool. There was a couple barbers in the old barbershop that used to do that. But once I started doing it, I was like, damn, this is hella easier than just like trying to lean my client back or have him lean his head back, you know, and trying to straight razor him that way. It's a lot more efficient as well. It does take some practice and making sure that you don't cut your client. It's gonna feel awkward at first, but as long as you are pulling the skin in the opposite direction and holding that blade at the correct angle, I mean, you're gonna get a nice sharp cut regardless. So, and then also balding out his sideburns, making sure that bald line pops real well, making sure all the hair behind the ears is taken down as short as possible. And then I'll also just check the hairline one more time before I move on to his little facial hair fuzz that he wanted me to do, kind of lining up the chin hairs underneath, giving a nice little goatee look, lining up that mustache as well. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because I mean, it's just nice. It's just a little cleanup work, not too much detail there. Going over with my straight razor, always pulling in opposite direction too. Make sure you guys take that around that nose area nice and easy with the straight razor too. Then I finish him off with Dunn's butter. This is just ensures that his hair is gonna lay down nice and easily, nice and well, kind of lays nice and flat on his head. Of course, I mean, this is my boy Dunn's product. It's gonna be a good product regardless. Smells really good. I'm willing to bet none of y'all, once you get the product, you're not gonna be able to guess what scent it is or what he chose. All my clients love that shit. Then I make sure I disinfect them, clean them up, and that is a transformation cut right there. High taper. I know this is the third high taper in a row, but this shit was too fresh to not post right now. I couldn't help it with these braids, man. He came in with this shit looking like a damn fool, and I had to save his life real quick. Don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button. Appreciate all the support y'all be showing me every single week, and I will continue pushing out this dope ass content for y'all. Appreciate y'all.